Hello and welcome to Starting Points, where one thing leads to another. Queen Elizabeth I dies in 1603 and James I is king. And people want to get back to trying to find or found colonies in North America. This book is a great starting point. Jamestown, first English colony. It features a map. This is a map made by John Smith. And here's the ocean. Here's Chesapeake Bay. Here's a river that's called Pocahontas River. It runs into a river that they, in a certain section of that river that they call King James River, and the settlement is right here. Now, they didn't want to have a settlement as an island off the coast. Spanish ships might come by, see it, pass the word, be attacked. They wanted to tuck it away, which they did. It's not apparent. One would have to travel ways to get into it. This shows something of all the river systems, and it shows little red rectangles spotted all over it, sort of like maybe some of the settlers might have felt after being out when the mosquitoes had bit them, and little bloody spots all over. Extensive on this map. And the key to the map says the king's houses. And, well, king's houses. This was a map that was made 350 years later to commemorate the first settlement there at Jamestown, and a number of commemorative things were done, and this map was one of them. It shows a smaller segment of that land, but enlarged. Very nicely done. It's done by Doris Davis and Catherine Adams. Now, I'll just show you what that would look like here. I think it would be good to say that we're looking at this section right there in their map, but in all the land that was explored by John Smith is extensive. This book, Indians in 17th Century Virginia by Ben McCary, is a great book. It's got all kinds of not a great bibliography and all kinds of different aspects of the First Nations people back then. And it starts saying that John Smith, enumerates 28 tribes in the Confederacy, but shows on his map 36 king's houses, or tribal capitals, and therefore it can be said that Powhatan had more than 30 provinces, or kingdoms, or tribes under his rule. Within these provinces, Smith's map shows a total of 161 villages, large and small. He has not come upon land that is uninhabited. It's densely inhabited and settled, and it has their own confederacy, their own forms of everything. Now, that didn't seem to make a bit of difference to the English, but something to think about. So there's a neat book, and I need to show you a picture of John Smith. I think that's a nice thing to have too. No painting was done in his lifetime of him, but someone did an engraving, and then someone later came and using that engraving created this painting based on the engraving. The engraving shows up in a 1-cent U.S. commemorative stamp of John Smith. This book goes into lots of detail over a fairly long period of time. This book, also nonfiction, The Double Life of Pocahontas by Jean Fritz. I really like her historical research. She's got a great index in the book, lots of bibliography. She really researched this. In fact, she mentions Ben McCary's book, Indians of the 17th Century. She's got notes for many of the pages, more details. She's got an accompanying map here. And when I see the map here, to me it looks almost like a tree with branches going out from. That's the image that I take a little bit from it when I see it. I wanted to, so this book is A Double Life of Pocahontas is the title. I think that's to catch people's attention. It was something that people would be aware of. In fact, the first sentence starts with the word Pocahontas. Pocahontas had every reason to be happy. And so there's quite a bit about Pocahontas at the start and throughout. And it's there that she meets John Smith, and Jean says on page 32, yet to know her story, Pocahontas's, one must follow John too. And one summer, he was off exploring, working on this map. He was off exploring with a party of 14 men. He didn't find either the Pacific Ocean or a gold mine. That was one of the incentives of having the colony by the people who were financing it. But he traveled 3,000 miles throughout Chesapeake Bay, up the Potomac River, nosing into inlets, following one crooked creek after another. He added new names on his map and drew new rivers and streams. He dug up some more that might be silver. He saw animals, otters, beavers, martens, minks, whose fur would certainly bring money in England. 3,000 miles. That's the distance from Washington, D.C. to San Francisco. But you're going up this creek and you're coming back, it all adds up. And fish. He'd never seen so many fish. They were packed so thick in one place that the barge had to push through them. They looked like good eating fish too, but the men had no nets with them. And when I read that, it struck me as how unfortunate. You're off exploring, you need to find a source of fresh food, and you're traveling on the water that fishing wouldn't have maybe occurred to you. Well, John Smith was not a fisherman, and maybe they just didn't have anything like that. But he was going to do his best to see what he could do. John Smith grabbed a frying pan and tried to scoop some up in it. But as one explorer said, we found it a bad instrument to catch fish with. Then, well, I stopped there because I'm going to stop on this humorous note and picture. Here he is, leader of these men, and the opportunity of food is just there in front of us. All we have to do is have a means of collecting it, and we don't. Try this frying pan. He picks up the water with the fish in it. Fish is just going to... I thought they must have had a good laugh. I think these men and John all laughed at their situation, and that's a good place to stop the video. Until next time, bye for now.